At 94, I don't bounce back the way I used to. If I push too hard one day, I feel it the next morning, and sometimes the morning after that too. That's just how it is. But here's the part people don't expect when they look at me. I still live alone. I still cook my own meals. I still walk through my house without holding on to furniture like it's a lifeline. And no, it's not because I found some miracle online. I don't buy powders, I don't follow trends, and I've never trusted anything that promises to fix everything. But there is one thing I do. Every single day, I drink something, the same thing, every night, and I used to think it was pointless. My name is Maggie Collins. I'm 94 years old, and I've lived in the same small house here in Toledo, Ohio, for over 40 years. It's a simple place. One floor, no stairs, a kitchen that's seen better days but still works just fine. I've learned that at my age, you don't need fancy. You need things that don't make your life harder. Now, when people hear drink this every day, they expect something impressive, something rare, something expensive. It's not. It's just a cup of herbal tea. Nothing special about it. No label, no brand. Most of the time it's just dried leaves I keep in a jar. And I didn't start drinking it because I wanted to live longer. I started because something in my life stopped working the way it used to. There was a time not that long ago when my days didn't have a shape anymore. I would wake up at different hours, some mornings early, some not, until almost noon. I'd stand in the kitchen, open the fridge, stare at it and close it again, like I forgot what I was looking for. By afternoon, I'd feel tired without really doing anything. And at night, that was the worst part. I wouldn't feel ready to sleep, but I also didn't have anything left in me to stay awake for. That's a strange place to be. Not sick, not injured, just off. And when your body feels off long enough, you start to wonder if that's just how it's going to be from now on. That's when something small came back to me. Not from a doctor, not from a book, from a memory I hadn't thought about in years. I could almost smell it before I even remembered where it came from. That kitchen wasn't big, just a small space with a stove that clicked before it lit, and a table that had more scratches than shine. My mother stood there every night, like it was part of her job, even though nobody was paying her to do it. She didn't rush. She didn't experiment. She just did the same thing over and over. She'd put a small pot on the stove, fill it with water, and reach for whatever she had mint leaves in the summer. Dried sage in the winter, sometimes a mix of whatever was left in the jar. No measuring, no recipe, just habit. Back then, I didn't think much of it. Actually, that's not true. I thought it was a waste of time. I was young. I wanted things quick. If it didn't have bubbles or caffeine, I wasn't interested. I remember grabbing a cold soda instead, while she stood there letting water simmer, like it was doing something important. She used to say one thing almost every night, like she didn't care if anyone was listening. Don't go to bed with a restless body. At the time, that didn't mean anything to me. Restless just sounded like another way of saying tired, and tired was normal. Everybody was tired. As I got older, life sped up the way it does for most people here. Work, kids, errands, bills, everything had a clock on it. Meals got shorter. Nights got later. Some days I'd eat standing at the sink, barely tasting what was in front of me. and nobody stopped to simmer anything anymore. Looking back, it's almost funny how easy it is to walk away from something simple when nothing feels wrong yet. You assume your body will just keep up, that it doesn't need much from you. My mother never said her tea would make you live longer. She never called it healthy. She just did it every night, like locking the door or turning off the lights. And I ignored it for most of my life. I thought I had better things to do than stand in a quiet kitchen waiting for water to heat up. I started noticing it in the quiet moments, the ones nobody else sees. It wasn't anything dramatic. I didn't fall. I didn't get diagnosed with something scary. If you asked me back then, I would have said I was fine. That's what most of us say. But my days didn't line up anymore. I'd wake up and feel like I hadn't really slept, even if I'd been in bed for hours. By mid-afternoon, I was already tired again. Not the kind of tired you fix with a nap, more like a slow drag that followed me around the house. Eating didn't help. Half the time I wasn't really eating meals. I'd grab whatever was easy. A piece of toast, some crackers, sometimes just coffee, and call it good enough. You start telling yourself it's no big deal. You're not that hungry anyway. That's how it creeps in. Nothing feels serious enough to fix. After my husband passed, the house got quieter than I expected. Not peaceful, just empty. There was no reason to sit down at the table anymore, no one to ask, "What do you want for dinner?" So I stopped asking the question altogether. One evening, I remember standing in the kitchen, holding a box of cereal, not eating it, just holding it. I couldn't remember the last time I'd made a real meal for myself, not heated something up, actually made it. And the strangest part was I didn't feel upset about it. I just felt off. Nights stretched longer. I'd sit in the living room with the TV on, not really watching anything, just letting the noise fill the space. Then I'd go to bed and lie there wide awake, like my body didn't get the message that it was time to shut down. That's when it hit me. Nothing was technically wrong, but nothing was working either. And when your body stops working the way it's supposed to, it doesn't always break all at once. Sometimes it just slowly loses its timing, like a clock that's a few minutes off every day, until you don't recognize the hour anymore. I didn't think I needed a doctor. I needed something to bring the day back into place. I stood there a little longer than usual, staring into that cabinet, like something inside it had an answer. There wasn't much in there. A few old jars, some things I hadn't used in a while. And then I saw it. A small container pushed toward the back. Dried leaves. I almost forgot I even had them. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I just didn't want another night of sitting around feeling out of place in my own house. So I took out a small pot, filled it with water, and set it on the stove. I didn't rush it. That was the first difference. Most of the time we try to make things quick. Microwave it, heat it fast, get it over with. But this time I let it sit. Let the water come up slowly. When it started to steam, I dropped in a small handful of those leaves. No measuring, no thinking too hard about it. I turned the heat down and let it stay there for a few minutes, not boiling hard, just enough to keep it moving. I remembered that part without trying. Funny how the body holds on to things your mind forgets. Then I poured it into a cup and sat down at the table. No TV, no phone, just me and that cup. I didn't expect anything to happen, and honestly, nothing did that first night, or the second, but I kept doing it, not because it worked, just because it gave the evening a shape. That was new. For 10 minutes, maybe 15, I wasn't wandering around the house trying to figure out what to do with myself. I had something in front of me, something warm, something that took just enough time to slow me down without making it feel like a chore. After a couple of weeks, I noticed I wasn't staying up as late, not because I forced myself to sleep, but because I didn't feel as restless. After a month, it got easier to fall asleep. Nothing dramatic, no big moment where everything changed, just small shifts. And somewhere in those small changes, I realized it wasn't really about what I was drinking. It was about the fact that for the first time in a long while, I had a part of my day that wasn't rushed, skipped, or ignored. That cup didn't fix me, but it gave my day a place to land. I still make that cup every night, even on days when I don't feel like it. Not because I think it's keeping me alive, and not because I believe it's some kind of secret nobody else knows. I do it because I've learned something the hard way. Your body doesn't fall apart all at once. It wears down from small things you ignore every day. Skipped meals, no routine, too much rushing, not enough pause. For years I thought I needed something bigger to feel better. More energy, more discipline, something new. Turns out I just needed something steady. That cup of tea didn't change my life overnight. It didn't cure anything, but it gave me a reason to slow down at the same time every evening. And once that peace came back, other things started to fall into place without me forcing them. At my age, you don't try to fix everything. You protect what still works. So here's what I'd tell you plain and simple. Don't wait until your days feel out of control to look for structure. Don't replace real habits with quick fixes. And don't ignore the small routines that older people kept doing their whole lives. There's usually a reason they stuck with them. What I learned at 94 is this. Most of what helps you last longer isn't exciting. It's not new. It's not impressive. It's just something you're willing to do every day, long enough for your body to trust it again. And if stories like this mean something to you, real, stories about life advice, stories about advice from grandparents, stories about life lessons, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Because sometimes the most useful things you'll ever hear aren't coming from experts. They're coming from people who simply lived long enough to notice what actually matters.